fractions, one whole object or group of objects broken into equal parts. So as you can see, I have one shape here, and my shape right now is a rectangle. And the rectangle is broken into three parts that are roughly the same size. So we call those sizes equal because they're all about the same length, same width, and it takes three of them to fill up this one rectangle. So you can see the three parts here. So because there are those three parts, we can name each part of it 1/3. Each part represents one piece out of the three pieces out of the entire thing, which is the whole. You could also have groups of something. So I could have a group of stars. Here's my 3 stars. If I ask you what fraction of stars have a red X over it, you could look at it and say, oh, well, if the whole group makes 3, then I know that 1 star out of all 3 has an X over it. And that would be my fraction for that. One of the important things about a fraction is it has 2 numbers, a top number and a bottom number. The top number is called the numerator. It is how many parts of the whole are shaded or not shaded. Or you can say, if you're talking about a pizza, how many pieces are eaten or not eaten. The numerator is how many pieces you're talking about, you're referring to. So in my example, in my fraction number right here, I have 3/4. So that means I have one whole thing broken into 4 equal parts. And 3 of those parts I am going to shade. I could have left 3 of those parts blank, and that also would have represented 3/4. So just like this picture represents 3/4 because 3 are shaded, if the question was how many are not shaded, then my answer would be 1/4. One piece out of all 4 are not shaded in. But at any rate, we're talking about the top number, what's shaded or unshaded. Then we also have what's called the denominator. The denominator is how many parts the whole thing is divided into. So right here, our denominator in this example is 8. That means we have one object and it's broken into 8 equal pieces. So if we count, we can see 8 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's our denominator. If we were dealing with a group of things and we had hearts, because this is an entire group of something, and I have 4 hearts, one heart represents 1 out of 4. So 4 would be my denominator because that's how many hearts are in the total group of objects. So then 1 heart out of all 4 represents 1 part of the group. Now I want to take a minute to talk to you about the fraction bar, because often we just put that bar and we don't really think about what it means. The fraction bar is actually a division bar. So when we're talking about fractions, we're talking about dividing something up into equal parts. So this really means one piece of all of the 8. That means this one whole thing is broken into 8 parts. We divided it into 8 parts, and now I have one piece of it. That's what 1/8 represents. And so that's fractions. And so one last idea I want to get across. So here's my whole object. And I have just one piece here drawn in, and one is shaded. And I ask you, does this shaded piece represent 1/4 of the entire object, of the entire rectangle in shape? Now, many of you would be tempted to say no, because there's not 4 pieces. But I ask you, can I take this 1/4, this one picture, and lay it over this same size and lay it over the entire rectangle until I have 4 pieces that size? Your answer would be yes. So just because the other 3 pieces are not there does not mean that that does not represent 1/4 of the whole, because I still could lay 4 pieces of that size on here, 4 equal pieces, and still make the whole. So this yellow shaded part still does represent 1/4 of the whole, simply because it takes 4 of them to make the whole. So that's a different way of looking at fractions, and I just wanted to point it out. And that's fraction.